Hi and welcome, Leslie. Great to have
Hello,
you
good
on the
morning.
call today. Good morning to you. It's actually evening here over here,
Oh, that's right.
but no worries. Good morning to you. It's great to have you today, that you took the time for the interview today inside of the Strong Babes Club. You have
Oh,
been
happy to
part
be
of the
here.
club for a couple of months now, and
Yeah.
you just currently committed to another year with us. And
Woo!
you have had like such a huge success in the last couple of months. I'm so like excited already what's coming next. But yeah, I would love to hear a little bit your story about like, what have you done before joining the Strong Babes Club? Like, what's the background story of Leslie? Maybe what even made you jump into like the gym and lifting weights? Um, yeah, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Um, so my weightlifting journey actually started in 2018. My husband's military was part of the US military. And so we moved to Japan from the United States. And I had never lived abroad before. I'd always lived here, where we are again now, back home. And so when we moved, we have three children and I was homeschooling and I was very, very lonely. And I got very depressed and I started getting all kinds of like random illnesses and
Mm,
infections and like just some weird things. And I just started kind of researching and came upon this keto weightlifting group of people and I just jumped right in. I was like, strength training, that sounds like something I should probably start doing. That sounds really interesting. And so I started then, and I asked my husband actually to take me to the gym one day. I was like, just go with me. I'm so nervous. And he walked in with me, and he was a terrible teacher. He was like, you just get on the bench press machine and you start lifting weights. I was like,
just do it.
no, just do it. And I walked home and I started looking online. I was like, I need to find a trainer. So I found a mama who was a trainer, and she was like, yeah, absolutely. I'll walk you through it. So she took me to the gym and she showed me how to lift weights. And it kind of started from there. I just loved it. I found that it was like therapy time.
Mm,
And so I just started going every single day and I learned more and more. And I loved lifting weights. And so I started with keto, and I got very, very low carbs, but I was feeling really great for a while. So for about probably 2 years,
mm.
I felt really good and I lost some weight. I mean, overall, I probably lost about 30, 40 pounds,
Oh, wow.
which I know, which it wasn't even my goal necessarily
Yeah.
because just didn't know that that was even possible.
Yeah.
But I went keto and I started tracking all of my food. And then in the year since we moved back and I kept lifting weights and I kept like lowering my carbs and then lowering my fats and then lowering everything until I got to a point where I was eating right at and under about 1,200 calories for quite a while. And I then hired a coach. Actually, I was like, okay, I need to hire somebody just one-on-one. I kind of loved it. I loved getting into the bodybuilding scene of things. I
Hmm.
didn't want to compete, but I wanted to like go through some of the cycles. Um, because I just got really passionate about it. And so I started doing all of that with keto. And my coach was saying, okay, now that we've done this cut, like you need to reverse for a while. And I just was so scared. I didn't understand. I didn't see it. So it really wasn't so I sort of tried, but I was so on my own and in the dark. She was just saying, just increase your calories. And I was so scared. I didn't want to put on the weight again. I didn't want to bulk like bodybuilders.
Hmm.
And I was scared of like losing what I had gained. And so the fear of that really kept me kind of stuck in this. I'd eat a little bit more and then I'd see the scale going up and then I would kind of freak out. And so I would like limit again and just eat cans of tuna for lunch,
Hmm.
until I got to a point I was doing carnivore for a while. And it just felt like, man, is this what I'm going to have to do forever?
Hmm.
And the scale wasn't changing. Like I just kept being stuck at the same weight, which I tried not to hyper focus on, but I was like, man, I can't eat less and I can't really work out more.
Hmm.
Something is not right. And so
Hmm.
that's kind of whenever I found you guys, and I saw some of your posts. And honestly, I didn't believe it at first. The whole almost at first, like the eat more, weigh less kind of thing. was like, this girl's telling me I can eat carbs. There's no way.
Is this just
And
a
so
dream or?
just a dream. That sounds like magic. So the first call actually with your husband in one of those group calls, I was driving, I remember, and he was talking, and I pulled over and I was like, wait a minute. Like I'm coming from keto, I'm very strict, like with my, I mean, I'm track. Like, really, are you saying? And he just was sort of like repeating again, like the benefits of, and I thought, just something in my spirit was just very much like, be all in, just trust them. And what do you have to lose? Give it a 6 month, 9 month, 12 month, give it some time and see what happens. So that's kind of where I came from.
And it happened a lot in the last couple of months.
Yeah, yeah. When you first set that transformation map, that really for me was the game changer.
Hmm.
Because my previous coach that I'd worked with, I think was sort of saying similar-ish things, but when you laid it out for me and I could see like the data first, I love data. But whenever I could see that map of being this cycle for this amount of time, and then we'll do this cycle, and then I was like, oh, there's a map for this. She's got a map, and I love this. So I can do this for 12 weeks or 20 weeks. Like I can stick with this and see what happens. And so I've loved that part. I've loved tracking on the roadmap all of the steps and all of the weights and all of the changes. And that macro calendar that you have is just like genius. I love it.
I love to hear that because not everyone
Yeah,
is like that. Not everyone is, and I see that a lot on like social media and with a lot of women that I talk to. It's, I don't want to track. It's making me crazy. It's like too tedious, like all those like numbers. It's kind of obsessive. And for you, and what I also see with the women who are successful in the Strong Babes Club, you being a part of that is you love data and you're like, hey, that actually gives me feedback, objective feedback that is helping me.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what would
Because
you?
sometimes, yeah, I think as women too, like sometimes you wake up and you're like, oh, I just feel bloated. So today I'm gonna like fasting was like a huge thing, right? And so I'm like, in the past, I would wake up and feel a certain way and then decide I would starve myself for today just so that I can like feel normal. And
Mhm.
like, no, whenever I look at that data, I'm like, no, just stay consistent. Consistency is key. Just keep on keeping on. And then I've just seen those things kind of resolve themselves in a healthier way using the data. So it's been really helpful for me. I have a lot of friends who are also like, Leslie, isn't that a little bit obsessive, like a little bit? I just think that for me, it was important to take ownership, like of
Mhm.
my own body and understand what was happening. Like I can't control other things until I can, like manage
Mhm.
myself properly. So,
Oh, I
so
love
doing
that.
that better was helpful.
I love that you're connecting the data and having a look at that instead of just like how am I feeling? I think both is important. I think
Sure.
both
Yeah.
is important to we are not Excel spreadsheets, we are not
Right.
robots.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of like mental things happening when we are going
Right.
through those different phases, but only relying on like intuition and feeling is certainly not enough to drive specific outcomes. And I love that you said, I wanted to take ownership, like tracking
Mhm.
my food, tracking my weight, tracking the gym sessions, all of that is like data points. And they help me to take ownership. So, was it something at the very beginning of your journey where you were like, oh, this is a little bit overwhelming? Or how did you like, because now it's like, hey, here are your macros, you're nailing them, and it's kind of second nature for you to do that kind of stuff. It's just part of what you're doing in your day-to-day life, which not a lot of people can, grasp that it's like so easy, kind of, and
Yeah.
and
Right.
part of our lives. How
Mhm.
was it at the very beginning when you were just getting into fitness, lifting weights, nutrition? Was that overwhelming?
It was very overwhelming. We didn't own a food scale. Of I don't think that most people own a food scale. So whenever I first got one, like spoons of peanut butter, I think were super shocking because you can have a tablespoon of peanut butter and it's this heaping tablespoon of
Yeah.
peanut butter. And then you weigh it and you're like, holy cow, that's like 7 servings of peanut butter. Um, and so, I had to learn how to like weigh my food, like meats and things, especially raw, before I cooked them. I didn't know the impact of cooking had on different things, but just seeing that, like, oh, I can have. I mean, I started in such crazy. I was vegetarian for a while, so like adding back in animal food was sort of big for me. It had almost become like a religion, right? Food and diet and trying to control, and then like stepping back and looking at what kind of macronutrients are in our food and how do we best approach, how do we get all of the things that our bodies need. So just like I would learn a little bit, which would then help me learn a little bit more and then a little bit more. And it was just this cycling of, oh, like whenever I put in food to Chronometer or whichever app, and I would like click on it to look at, oh, look at all of the benefits that this certain food has. I was scared of berries for so long, like fruit. I hadn't had fruit before you guys. Before I started with you all, I hadn't had any fruit for probably 2 years.
Mm.
Because I was so worried about the insulin effect and the glycemic effect of berries. And now I eat like handfuls of berries at almost every meal. And my body is so much healthier. Like I went through some phases where I thought that I was having all kinds of like gut issues.
Mm.
I mean, I was having gut issues, but I thought maybe I had some autoimmune conditions. And like what I've realized there is that, man, I just needed to fuel my body properly. And it's all managed itself. So it was overwhelming at first, like going through the grocery store and trying to decide how much of things. And but like you said, now it's just so second nature that whenever I have girlfriends who are like, I don't know how to do that. I work and how do I do that every day? I'm like, just start with one. Like I was just talking to a girlfriend today about this. It's like I just like map out one day. And then if I'm busy, then I'll just have that same day every day until I have another minute that I can plan a different
Mm.
day. And that has been really helpful. But I also see food as fuel and not necessarily entertainment anymore.
Hmm.
And so just I'm okay with having the same meals as long as they're packed with nutrition.
But was there a time where food was more like reward and entertainment and all that kind of stuff? Because it's very common. It's like
Oh,
people
yeah.
don't, they cannot like, a lot of people are like, they cannot understand how you can have the same meals. When in
Mhm.
reality, most people have the same stuff day in, day out. They just don't
Right.
realize it. It's just that, we
Exactly.
are most of the time eating 10 to 15 foods on a really regular basis. Most people have
Right.
the same kind of breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. But just for
Right.
them, the thought of like, I will stick to the same things is kind of like, oh no, but then
Mhm.
all the fun is gone. And,
Right.
was there a
Yeah. What
time for
about all
you
the
where it was more like food as a reward, food not just as fuel?
Oh yeah, I've gone through all the silly like yo-yoing of nutrition and dieting. Stress eating, I know was really big for me for a long time. Like every time I would leave a certain family member's house, I would like just get home and like so stressed out and just want to eat
Mm.
all the things. And then like the late night snacking things for a while. Even before I started with you guys, I would eat at the very low calorie, but then like once every week or every other week, I would find myself just, what do I have in the cabinet? Like, can I just eat some peanuts, some like something salty, crunchy? And so really healing from that was huge. But oh yeah, I mean, food used to be pretty entertaining and just to go out for meals was a like especially when we lived overseas, it was kind of a big deal to just use food like that. It's wild now because it's become so like everybody knows that Leslie's going to bring her own meals to restaurants. Like, and I have now for a while, so nobody's shocked anymore. And
Yeah.
I just pack it in my purse. Even whenever I'm traveling, I just always have my meals.
What made that like maybe you don't know, but maybe it's not something that's very like you don't like consciously think about. But what made you have that switch from like craving food, like food as something that is entertaining and fun to food is fuel in most scenarios? Because I
I'll
have a
start.
very,
Yeah.
I can very, very much relate to that. It has been the same for me. And I'm always
Mhm.
thinking about like what made it like switch, and I would love to
Right.
hear what it was for you.
Yeah. I think for me, I just started feeling so much better. I just started, and so then whenever I would go off of that and have something out or just something for fun, I don't know if it was the seed oils or how it was cooked or just all the ingredients and certain
Mm,
things, but I didn't feel good for like days. I mean, I would have like a sort of an immediate stomach ache and then just felt really inflamed for days after. And so for me, it was a lot like, oh, that wasn't worth it. Like that, those French fries or that piece of pie or whatever it was, like it hurts and it didn't feel good. And I didn't like the energy crash that I would get from it. And
mhm.
so kind of once I connected those, like how I'm really feeling, to, oh, I think that that's actually from the food that I was consuming. Like I think that I did this to myself. Then it's easier for me now to say, no, thanks. I don't want to feel like that in a
Yeah,
couple of days.
yeah. 100%. And I think
Yeah.
this is where the feeling, like the subjective feeling and objectivity of like data helps, because if you're like always tracking your food and then you're having foods that are like a little bit out of the ordinary because you are going out for dinner, or you're having something that you normally usually from day to day don't have, that you haven't cooked yourself or whatever it is, and you connect it to the feeling of like how is your body responding to the foods, then you are like getting the, yeah, you're connecting kind of the dots of how food makes you feel. And what has helped me as well, and what you just said, was experiencing how you feel on certain foods, eating certain things. Yes, sometimes I would go out and have something which I normally don't have on a daily basis. I don't eat pizza every day, and I would have it every once in a while. But most of the time, it's really like, huh, was not that much worth it. Like when I'm just looking at like how I'm feeling, yes, for sure, there are sometimes like pretty good restaurants where it's really like, something very like special. But in most cases, I even at the very beginning, I was always like in my journey where I always already tracked my food. I would still have like chocolate every day, and even that has like completely, it's completely gone. I'm not any more interested. I'm like, hey, give me my veggies, give me my meat, give me rice, give me potatoes. It's just like a different
Yeah, it's just so
feeling.
much more. Yes. You know, the same thing for me was alcohol. Like I had that same kind of reaction. We used to have like a drink before bed or something. And then I realized how much it was messing up my sleep and then affecting my training the next day. And I was like, oh,
Mm,
it's totally not worth it. So like certain foods and certain drink, I'm like, oh, it's just not worth it. It doesn't make me feel my best. And that's not worth it for me.
yeah. I think that's great to make that kind of connection between like what is actually happening in my body, how am I feeling after consuming those stuff? Because then when I'm looking at you, you are eating your favorite foods, but your favorite foods are not like donuts and cakes and pizza and cookies all day long. I think, when people are seeing hey, you can get in the best shape of your life without cutting out your favorite foods. I do think that some people are like, oh, then I can, have the drinks and cookies and all that kind of stuff every day. And what I also realized is when I asked in the Strong Babes Club, like, hey, list your favorite foods, that nobody was actually listing foods that were like super duper highly processed. It was not like, hey, my favorite foods is donuts. Like nobody's saying that.
Yeah, yeah. No, they're not even that good. I have three children, so sometimes they'll have things and I'll smell it. I'm like, hey, I want to smell that, especially if it's like a cupcake or something that I used to like would really love to eat. Like, just let me smell it. I'm like, okay, yeah, like I can, like I remember what that tastes like, and it's totally not worth it for me to put it in my mouth. Like it's not gonna make me feel good, but I love to like, oh yeah, I can remember that. And
That's a
I'm
good
like, okay,
idea.
mom, here, do you want to smell this before? And they actually, it's only true that as we cleaned up our diet and our lifestyle, it has had such an effect on the kids because now like we don't have that kind of stuff in our house. And so they don't very often have like a cupcake, but when they do, they're like, and they don't even binge it. They're like, oh, here, do you want a bite of this? Mom, I'm like, ah, mom just wants to smell it.
How are your kids in general? Because that's also something I get from moms who are a little bit like, huh, I don't want to weigh my food in front of the kids, or I don't want that they see that I'm eating differently than them. Like, how are you navigating all of that? Or at the very beginning when you
Mhm.
just started with that?
Yeah, Yeah, I think that's really tricky for people. Where I've landed is not necessarily where I started, but kind of where I've landed is we live in such an unhealthy society to not have any idea what we're putting into our mouths. And especially here in America, the food that we allow in like packaged food is just so harmful. And we can see that in like childhood obesity and lots of, gosh, just so many childhood health problems. And I think so many of those stem from what we are putting into our bodies. So, at first I was a little bit hesitant. I have a little girl who's 13 now.
Mm,
So at first I'm like, man, I don't want to like create an environment that she is going to be hyper fixated on what she's putting into her body. Like I don't want to create eating disorders.
mm,
But then I realized how disordered our whole eating system is in general, but it's just in an opposite. It just feels like it's like there's just junk kind of everywhere, and every celebration has to have candies and sweets,
mm,
and every holiday has candies and sweets, but it feels like it's just out of control. I feel like that is out of control. So if I can teach a little bit like how to not, well, to have a healthy control of and know what we're putting into our bodies, I think it's my responsibility to teach.
mhm,
Because I see so many people like my age who are mamas who are really struggling. And I was really struggling. And so I feel like I just have an obligation to like at least show her. I mean, my plates now are so beautiful, Dragana. They are like in the mornings, I have some bison and sweet potato and raspberries and avocado, and it's like this beautiful rainbow. And like, how is that? That's only more healthy than like a plate of donuts. Um, so I feel like it's just a really healthy way when we are surrounded by bad choices.
mm. So kind of the quote unquote norm is actually
Mhm.
the problem,
Yes.
whereas when we can see it as an opportunity to teach and to share knowledge around food,
Mhm.
macros, calories, like energy intake, what's healthy, what is
Mhm.
like, what are nutrients, what is supporting your body, then you are rather taking that route of like doing the education
Yes.
rather
Yeah,
than
'cause I
being
think,
the mom who is like hiding and struggling herself with a lot of
right.
like issues. Because that's also something that we have seen a lot is like women, moms who have struggled their like almost whole life, like 15 years, 20 years, 25 years with body image and nutrition and going on these on-off diets, yo-yo weight gain, binge eating, all that kind of stuff. And I think, or it's kind of like my mission to help
Mhm.
more women like you who are then passing that on to their daughters, children, but especially daughters who are, I think, especially nowadays, confronted with a lot of like, this is how you need to look like in social media. And,
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
yesterday a woman who was reaching out to me. She's in her 30s and she said, or even like beginning of her 40s, and she said she's dieting since she is 8 years old. And it
Yeah.
was like, oh my
Oh,
gosh, this is
yeah.
just like, It's breaking my heart. And
Mhm.
I really love to hear that you do want to pass on the knowledge so that your daughter is learning something and her children eventually someday are also learning something from that when it comes to nutrition in general,
Yeah.
health and fitness. But
Yeah.
I think nutrition is a very, very big part.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that we are just designed to move also. So I think that when we stop moving and stop eating well, like, have you seen the movie Wall-E?
Yeah.
Where everybody's on, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the world. I'm like, oh, like I
Yeah.
think we have to like swim against that so that we're not like
Mm.
drawn into that vat of sort of destruction. I hate to be like super dramatic, but I think it's so
Mhm.
important. So yeah, so my kids are all my oldest is 24, and so he's like they're all into it now. They're like all weightlifters and tracking their food, and it's just a lot of fun to like get to do it together. So when everybody's home, we get to like go to the gym together,
Cool.
and yeah, it's become a whole family affair.
That's
Just getting better.
that's crazy progress from where you have started being in Japan and being like, oh my gosh, this is how I'm feeling. I don't know what's going on with me. I do think
Yeah,
I have all of different kind of conditions. I don't have a clue what's going on
yeah,
to
yeah.
being so empowered in your journey.
It has been a really cool, you look back. I remember laying on the couch and I had to have a dental procedure done. And so I had this infection that was snaking all the way from my mouth into my brain. And it was this horrible infection. And I thought, why do I have all of this inflammation in my body? Like, how can I cure like, what do I need to do? And so so whenever I look back on those pictures of like lying there, but I had eaten a bowl of cereal with like 5 tablespoons of sugar on it, like the night before. So it's no wonder that like now I can see like it's no wonder I felt so terrible. I was
Mhm.
eating just kind of junk. I had no idea. And so to be here now is like this whole hero's journey of wow, look at how full circle. And now we're going to the gym together instead of having movie night with pizza. And we still have movie night, but usually it's after a gym. So yeah, it's a cool journey. It's cool that it's impacted my whole family. And that we just do that for fun now. When we are on vacation, we always go to the gym together.
Cool.
And then yeah, so it's a fun part of life now.
I love that. What has been like when you're looking back at the last couple of months since joining the Strong Babes Club? What has been your biggest aha moment? Was probably the calories. That was already something you were like
Yeah.
touching on. But the biggest win for yourself on a personal level going through the journey with us.
When you told me to reverse, I'd already sort of tried, and it wasn't going well. And then when you told me to reverse and start adding in all of these carbs, and we did it gently, you were very kind, and gentle. And so we kind of started on this slope, but I was like, there's no way. Like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to eat 600, 700 more calories a day and not stand on the scale and it be up like 5, 10 pounds. And I guess my biggest win was that I could do that, but also I feel like I really let go of a lot of fear of
Mm,
food that I didn't realize that I had like developed. I wouldn't have said if you'd asked me the first time that we talked, like, are you scared of adding carbs? I'd be like,
mm,
no, like I didn't think so. But then like going through it and actually walking that out and just staying really consistent on tracking everything. Like I didn't want to bulk in a way that was just going to add a lot of fat. I wanted to know exactly what I was doing so that I could walk it back whenever it was time. Um, and doing that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I get to eat like my plates were beautiful. I mean, I was just taking pictures all the time, like sending
yeah.
them to my husband, like, look how pretty this is. Because it's just so colorful and so beautiful. And I really let go of a lot of that worry. Because then I would step on the scale and it like wasn't changing. And I mean, I think that I only ever gained maybe 2 pounds in the whole reverse and maintenance phase. And I mean, I felt fantastic. I was just so full of energy. So much so that I like started rock climbing with my daughter. And I didn't realize that I was low energy until I got to the end of that. And I was doing so many more things. Um,
Until
So
the energy
yeah,
like kicked in, actually.
exactly. Yeah. I think sometimes we
Yeah.
don't know how bad we feel until we feel really good. And so when she was like, "Hey, do you want to pick up rock climbing?" I'm like, "Yes." I want to be the mom that always says, like, "Yeah, I want to be the grandma who's like, let's go on a hike." Um, and so it really just gave me a lot of energy and without a big weight gain. I swear, sometimes I'm like, it's just magic. I don't understand. I'm sure there's some like I'm sure there's some science that makes this make sense. But gosh, I just feel really good.
Yeah, I mean, we really slowly increase the calories overall and the carbs step by step. But the good thing is that you are a person that loves to move and you're not just a, couch potato and then we're giving you like more food to eat, but you're using that energy that comes in and you're lifting weights. And so when more carbs are coming in, your glycogen stores are getting filled up with it so that you can actually lift the weights. And that's why you only had that increase of like 2 pounds, which really comes down to more gut content and fuller glycogen stores. So muscles who are full and giving you the energy to perform in the gym. And
Oh my
so
gosh. Did you
you,
see all those PRs
yeah,
or oh my gosh, it's been fantastic. Like every time I get under that squat bar, you guys in the gym, it's usually just me and another couple other women, and it's usually men. And some of the older guys are like, "You think you could do that?" And I don't talk to people in the gym. So anyway, I'm just like keep my headphones in usually. And then, but just to see the improvements in that every time, I'm like, I I can't believe that I'm doing this. Like, this is so cool. And then I go to deadlift. I'm like, I think I can add more. I think I can add more. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Even my sons are like, Mom, I think you might be squatting more than me.
what is your secret?
Exactly. Like carbs, eat a sweet potato.
Exactly. What is your super secret for that
Yes.
PRs in
Yeah.
the gym? Amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
It's been a lot of fun.
And like looking into, so you have joined us, you have gone through the reverse diet. It
Mhm.
definitely took a little bit longer than, let's say, the normal reverse diet that you would do after a fat loss phase, because you
Mhm.
have come from a place where you have been low calories, low carbs for a very long time. And that's why doing it a little bit like slower to just see like how your body is responding to that, how your metabolism is working. Yours
Mhm.
has definitely ramped up when more carbs
Yeah.
and more calories came in, which
Mhm.
is just like perfect chef's kiss. Um, but it also comes down to the amazing work that you have done. So it's not only about here are the numbers, but you doing the work and
Sure.
pushing through those maybe limiting beliefs of, hey, carbs are bad, berries are bad, I cannot have them. I'm maybe fearing gaining weight and all that kind of stuff. But you were
Mhm.
bringing so much trust into that process of like, okay, let's give this a go. It sounds like a
Yeah.
dream. Kind of cannot believe
Right.
it, but
Right.
let's
Exactly.
let's try out. And so this has been the last couple of months, the reverse diet. And now for 2025, I mean, you decided to join us for the whole year. Very excited because
Yes.
you are the kind of woman that not only, does the work, you're putting in the work, but you also want
Mhm.
to learn and understand like why things are happening, which is
Yeah.
like, love that. That's the
Yeah.
perfect combination because that will make you ultimately independent in a way,
Yeah.
to know like what your body thrives on. What are
Yeah.
your goals for 2025?
Gosh. So I just would love to achieve like a best physique ever. Um, and that feels very I don't know. Sometimes I am like, is that just super shallow? Like I'm a mom of adult children, but also I think I'm fully capable. I'm a strong woman, and I think that I'm capable to like, let's see, like let's just see what I can do and like how this. So just started the fat loss phase, and I would just love to see the muscles that I've developed, and then I'd like to grow more muscles, and then I would like to see again. So I would just like to spend 2025 in this regard and like I just want to continue on the path of like strength training. I really want to focus on muscle. There's my 20-year-old walking through. He's going to the gym.
Good job.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to see like let's see how I think it would be a shame to spend my whole life and never know what I was capable of. So I feel like this is the year. Like, let's just see. And then next year I'll probably say, let's see again.
Let's see again. Let's
Yeah, exactly.
level up again.
Exactly.
Why do you just said like I don't know if it's shallow, it's if it's a shallow goal to achieve my best physique. Why do you have that narrative in your mind?
Yeah. Uh, uh, so I guess I battle with vanity. Like, is this all vanity? Is it just an appearance thing?
Mm.
Because or or no. And I believe that our bodies are a temple. And so I do think that we have this great responsibility to like we've been given this vehicle, we've been given this body, and this is the only one that we get. And so I battle back and forth between is this just vanity versus this is my responsibility. Like we were designed to create and to be creative and to take care of in the best way that we can. And so I look back at like all those ancient sculptors and sculptures that they've created and like what the physique is meant to be. And I think that it's not wrong to strive for that. Um, so so as in a philosophical, sense, I
Mhm.
think that we're supposed to kind of try to achieve that next great thing. And then sometimes I worry, like, man, am I spending too much time worried about vanity things? And I have to check myself because I know that, like, it's not just that, because it also makes me, like, by focusing on the things that I can control and these health things, it's made me such a better mom. It's made me a better wife. It's made me a lot more fun with my friends because it's given me so much more energy. So I know that like it's also created this sort of best self, and the physical is secondary, but it's good to feel good in your own skin. And I think I didn't have that a lot whenever I was like growing up and a
Mm.
teenager and a mom. So learning that it's okay to want to feel good in clothes and in bathing suits and skin has been big for me.
It's just
Yeah.
such an empowering feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It
it
really is.
and I see that often. It's like I want to change my physique, but it's so what will other people think, or will they think that's just, such a like superficial goal
Yeah.
to look good naked or toned
Right.
or defined or sexy in a bikini and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But really, when you're truly committing yourself to body transformation, health, fitness, body transformation, and you want to own the process, which I can see within you, it's like you're not only here to, drop a couple of pounds and
Yeah.
that's it. But you want to
Yeah.
understand the process and you want to kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
be the architect of your own body.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And
Yeah. It's a good way to,
that's very powerful because
yeah.
going through that kind of process in comparison to just like, going on a diet, going off a diet, it's kind of like on-off thing, is truly teaching you something about yourself because you will
Yeah.
definitely hit some, and you did that already in the past, like hitting roadblocks here and there, having some limiting beliefs around things, having roadblocks like, oh, how do I actually track my food intake? Like,
Yeah.
how do I do that? How do I go to the gym?
Yeah.
How do I lift weights? But you were kind of like
Yeah.
always pushing through. And I
Yeah.
think we humans are definitely made for challenges
Yeah.
and always,
Yeah, for sure.
searching
Yeah. Yeah.
the next
It's how
one.
we grow, right? Absolutely. And I tell my kids all the time too, like we don't grow when things are easy. We grow when things are really hard and we like push through those hard things. And I think this is just another avenue to like do that. I did that, you do that in academics, you do that in career, and then but the body is also an important place to do that.
100%. I can totally see that for you
Yeah.
this year because you have already, you have the basics down. You even have the more advanced things down because not everyone is tracking their food. Not everyone is hitting calories. Not everyone can hit their macros
Mhm.
easily. And you're lifting weights now for a couple of years. And so there needs to be a new challenge. And then it's like, okay, what is it?
Yeah. Yeah. What's the challenge? What's next?
What's
Let's go.
next? And so
Yeah.
this year it's peak physique. So we are bringing the best out of you.
That's right. I tell you what, my sons and my husband's quads are like so defined. I'm like, oh, like what is it about? Like
A lot of
I
like
want
extension probably. And
exactly. I know.
and
I want to like stretch out my legs next to theirs and win. So
I like that.
yeah.
Because also I have always like two camps of women. I have the women that it's like, yeah, I just want to, look a little bit slimmer, but your muscles, it's already like a little bit too much and, want to have the Pilates look. And I'm like, oh, I'm not your girl.
No.
And then I have the camp of like, I want to have quads. I want to have, the biceps, the delts that are a little bit like popping when you're like just
Yeah.
finished
Yeah.
with your session
Right.
and
Yeah.
that really enjoys doing that. So we can definitely ramp up your quad work to make the
Yeah.
quads pop.
I decided strong was so much better than skinny. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get strong. I want to keep muscle as long as I can. So let's build as much as we can right now. Let's go.
100%.
Yeah.
So
And
what
I
do
am
you,
amazed that it hasn't made me bulky. Like sometimes, people will still say, well, lifting weights, it makes you bulky. Like, man, I've been trying since 2018 and it still doesn't feel like it's bulky. So, like really my body composition has just completely changed.
Hmm,
Uh, just I'm a better proportionate self. And it's like I still don't look like Arnold. Um, and I've been lifting heavy for a while now, so it hasn't happened. Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and
it
look
doesn't
like that.
happen overnight, certainly,
Does
certainly
not
not.
happen overnight.
I mean
No.
the very like high level bodybuilders who are really like devoting their whole life to that kind of sport are doing that for 10 plus years to be
Yeah.
able to, step on stage and most of them are also juiced. So they're taking some kind of steroids for sure to look like that. So I think hopefully this year women will even more step into the gym and not fear looking bulky.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Well, you're doing a good job helping women do that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for
Super appreciate
being
it.
such a member of the community. I really appreciate you for,
You've really like I know I mean, I tell people all the time, I'm like, it's really like magic. I just think that it's genius the way that you've set up the transformation map and the guidance. I love your passion for helping women eat carbs again. I feel this energy that I just didn't feel before. And I really thought that I would. I mean, I even told my coach before, I was like, I think maybe I'm just one of those people who doesn't need more than 1,200 calories.
hmm,
Like I just need to eat a lot less. And so to be able to eat more and the effect that that had, I just thank you so much because you're doing a good job. You're reaching a lot of people.
thank you, Leslie. What
Thankful to be
is
here.
your like last words for the women out there who are maybe on the fence joining, but they're like being maybe a little bit hesitant. Is this the right thing? Is it not? Is it like too complicated? Do I have to, go again on a fat diet? Is it, like everything else that I have done before, and it will not work out for me.
I
What
would
kind of
all of my friends.
advice would you give that kind
Yeah.
of woman?
So I would tell my friends, and I do tell my friends, I'm like, you don't have to, I don't feel like it's a diet anymore. I feel like once I joined you guys, the information that you set out and the way that you have the constant calls, I think I don't know how you have the time, and your husband, I don't know how y'all have the time, but like you answer everybody's questions and you have the coach chats and you have like the support of the group and all of the ladies and the support of you guys, I feel like is just worth its weight in gold. That transformation map has been really eye-opening. So I think that those two things, the community and your support and your guidance in this, all of the knowledge, like the classroom knowledge kinds of things, I think will walk women through like how to track, how like what do macros mean? What are the different phases? Like it's all there. So I think if anybody is like on the fence, just to like go into it with trust, just to go into it with like you guys really I've worked with lots of people before because I've always kind of been on for years I've been on this journey and I feel like now like you guys are sort of the last place I want to be. I don't want to go to another coach because I feel like what I get from you guys is just so supportive and so helpful. And if we ever have a question, we like tag you guys and you respond. And not everybody, you don't get that a lot of other places. So I think that that's huge. Yeah, and eat carbs, eat more carbs,
Eat more carbs. That's
eat
like
more carbs.
the finishing words for today. I
Yeah.
even thought about like, hey, should we rename the club into the Carb Club or something like that?
You
Because it's
probably should.
kind of, yeah.
There's so many like keto groups, and I feel like that just sort of took over and then carnivore, and people are just getting rid of more and more food and more food
Yeah.
groups. Really, it's not
But
really
then,
working.
but then on the flip side, what was holding me back to do that was like, yeah, but I don't want to kind of simplify it down to only carbs because,
That's right.
the protein and the
Yes.
fats, calories overall are also important, meal
Yeah.
timing and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
So,
I
uh,
like Women's Strength Society. I think it's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. Strong women. That's what the world needs.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
we're all good
Because
with
I
that.
think more strong women, more fueled women, more nourished women on this planet will definitely lead to a better world. That's actually like
Amen. Yes,
my
absolutely.
stance on that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
100%.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Leslie, for this amazing interview. It was so nice chatting with you today. You are such an inspiration. I hope that a lot of ladies are listening to this and maybe can relate to your early beginnings, overwhelm and not understanding yourself to transforming into the strong, powerful woman you are today, being such a role model for your kids and teaching them what it means to go against the grain and kind of fight normal
Yeah.
and tap into the potential that we are actually here for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for doing this. Thanks for creating this group. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Leslie. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Talk to you soon.